Hello, I'm Emma of Granola Gear, and I'm so excited you've decided to join me for one of the most exciting times of year. That is New Year's, and that is also Everything I Knit in 2024 season. I'm so excited. I've never made one of these videos before, but I have watched and consumed many of them, so I'm excited to contribute this year. I have a lot of things that I have knit this year. It's kind of insane, and I'm so excited to share it all with you. Um, I'm going to do this by trying it all on as I go. Some of the things I don't have because they were gift knits or whatever, or just don't have them anymore, I'll insert photos when I can. And we're going to try it all on over this shirt and hopefully it looks okay. But I want to start with something a little fun, and that is some stats about what I've knit this year. You can skip this part, but I first want you to guess. You don't have to guess right now, but maybe as I go. Before the end, I'll give you a second. How many yards of yarn do you think that I knit this year? And I will give you a hint. It can be calculated in miles as well. It was a lot. So just take a guess and then we'll come back to this at the very end. So just some quick stats for you. I knit a total of 35 items this year, 7 of which were gift knits, which I'd say is pretty good, some big, some small. 4 of them were home knits, 4 of them were accessories, 11 summer knits, big summer knitting year for me this year, 2 vests, 4 cardigans, and 9 pullovers. That includes gift knits in those. But I think that's pretty good. I think I got a good balance this year. For fibers that I used, and this is counting like even yarns that are partially one or the other, I included them in each total. So of all types of wool, I have 25 sweaters or 25 pieces with some type of wool in them. 5 were superwash, 2 were merino, and 18 were just regular wool. I have 10 pieces with cotton in them, 4 with alpaca, 3 with polyester, 3 with silk, 1 with linen, and 1 with cashmere. Those are some interesting stats. And one last little list, and that is for like who the patterns were by. I don't have a ton of duplicates, but there are a handful. One of them I'm sure you can guess. I had 3 things that I self-drafted, 14 petite knit patterns. Sorry guys, you like what you like. 3 patterns by My Favorite Things Knitwear, 2 by Gregoria Fibers, and 2 by Other Loops. And those are my only repeats for this year, which is kind of surprising. I thought there would be more, but you know how it goes. Plans change. But that is the stats I have to start this off with. Now let's get into the fun part of the video, which is actually the knits. Okay, let us get into the fun stuff. I'm gonna go through them all and just throw them on over this shirt. The summer knits might look a little silly, but I'll insert a better looking photo to the side. Our first piece is something that's actually really popular right now, but it's funny because I knit it early last year. These are like semi-chronological, not totally perfect, but you know, we do the best we can. But this was actually a gift knit, and it's the Halibut sweater by Boyland Knitworks. I knit this for my husband. I knit it in Drops Lima, which is wool and alpaca. And I will put on the screen the colors that I knit it with, but it was in like a pearl gray and this kind of like denim blue, not a full navy because I don't really like how bright navies are sometimes, but I like the kind of muted tone of this. Obviously this wasn't knit in my size, but it looks okay on me still. This was a really fun knit. This is one of my first like big color work projects. I think I did like one other. I knit the Lumi by Sari Nordland, and that one turned out pretty good. But this was obviously a pretty big project. This one is in DK, and he loves this so much, he calls it his fish sweater. He thinks it's like the best thing ever, which obviously I appreciate. So this one was really fun. I don't think I did any mods to this. It was just to pattern. If I did, I'd maybe for the short rows, like in the back here, I might use in the stockinette portion a smaller needle size just so it like goes into the color work a little bit better. It looks okay, it looks fine, but it would be nice if it was a little bit tighter. I don't knit color work tightly, but it could probably use it. So that's the first one. They're just gonna all end up in a pile over here after, and I'll have to put them away. The next one is one of my favorite sweaters of all time that I've knit, and that is the Monday sweater by Petite Knit. But the reason I love it is not really because of the pattern. This is a DK weight pattern. I knit it generally to pattern, I think. But I thrifted all of these yarns over a number of years. They were all from lace to fingering weight, and I held them together in a way that got a pretty consistent DK. And this took forever because I was like weighing the yarns so that I would get pretty even stripes on the sleeves. Towards the end, it's not perfect, but you know, you do what you gotta do. And I love how this turned out. It's like surprisingly neutral with something for so many colors, but I tried to consistently do like white, black throughout it, so it had some kind of like pattern to it. It wasn't just a total scramble, and I love how it turned out. This is like my sweatshirt sweater, and I think it looks nice and it's fun to wear, and like no one else on the planet is gonna have this sweater, which is why it's so amazing. I really truly adore this guy, and it's knit in like Knit Picks yarn, it's knit in Cascade, it's knit in like some other alpaca yarn, it's knit in everything, and I love it so much. Next we've got, I guess, an accessory, and that is my Kindle case. This is a self-drafted pattern. I knit it in just some random scrap yarn that was probably from the thrift store. It's like this tweedy pink wool. I crocheted it in a moss stitch. I didn't knit this. And then I did a little white edging with this cute little coconut button on the front, and I love it. It works really well. I knit a different Kindle case, but the yarn wasn't really thick enough, so it didn't work very well. But this has been a great protector of my Kindle. It just lives in this when I'm not using it, so it doesn't get scuffed up or I can throw it in my bag or whatever. Big fan. Next I have actually another Monday sweater by Petite Knit, and this guy is also knit with thrifted yarn, but a slightly different and more exciting kind of thrifted yarn, and that was mini skeins. I thrifted 24 hand-dyed mini skeins, which is insane. They didn't have labels, so I don't know exactly what they are, and I held them each because they're fingering weight with Drops Kid Silk Mohair and knit another one of these sweaters. I love this. It was so much fun. I had so many mini skeins. I wanted to do a big project, but I'm not really like a shawl person. I might be becoming a shawl person, but when I did this, I was not a shawl person. I did the Drops Kid Silk Mohair in chalk, so just like the stark white color, which I thought would work the best with all of these colors together, and I think it turned out pretty well. I just, for these, I would knit the full skein in the body for the stripe, and then I picked a similar yarn, like see, these are both pink, these are both a similar color, so that it looked like maybe they were the same, and split it between both sleeves, which worked out really well because even though they aren't the same, they look like the oranges here together. It makes sense. It doesn't look too weird. It doesn't look really junky. It looks intentional, which it was. So yeah, I love this guy. This is like the most fun sweater ever. It's so bright and joyful, and I still have mini skeins left over that I need to find something to do with, but I love this piece. Next we have another little accessory, and these were the only pair of socks I knit this season. I have knit a bunch of socks in the past, mostly from the 52 Weeks of Socks book, but I just don't think I'm a sock knitting person at the end of the day. It's kind of a lot of work for something I don't wear a lot in my day-to-day life. Not that I don't wear socks, that would be silly, but I don't really wear hand knit socks a lot except for around the house. So I don't need 100 pairs. I think that's partially because I didn't totally understand the fit of hand knit socks at first, because all of the patterns had like 2 options and I picked the smallest option and it would still be big on my foot. So now I know more about like how you should have negative ease and that kind of thing, but it's so much effort to calculate the right fit sock for you for something that's so small. I just haven't gotten back into it. But these socks were knit in the Rosa Pomar Mondim, which is 100% wool, Portuguese wool. I like these colors in the ball, but I don't really love how they striped. This was early in my learning that I don't really like the color yellow that much. I don't mind it with things, but on its own is not my favorite. And this is like a more yellow dominant piece than I thought it was gonna be. I'm not the biggest fan. I learned about Flegel heels, and that's why I knit this. This was self-drafted, and they're just a little big on me. They're kind of like slipper socks in the house. Yeah, I wear them sometimes, not a ton, but this is my one pair of socks for 2024. So next, I know I say these are all my favorite, but I guess my favorites were all at the beginning of the year this year. And this one is my cardigan number 9. I thought all the buttons were done, but I guess they're not, by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is knit in an unraveled sweater yarn from a thrifted sweater, and it's this beautiful like black and gray, dark gray with these rainbow tweedy bits, and I'm obsessed with this. It's a great jacket sweater. My gauge was a little large, so it is bigger than the size small, which is what I typically knit would be normally, but I still love the fit. I've worn this so much. It's got this beautiful saddle shoulder, which I love. It's just, it's perfection. I know the samples have the toggle buttons, but I couldn't really find the toggle buttons unless I ordered a bunch online, which I didn't really care to do, but I'm happy with these like just simple black buttons with it. This is a nice sturdy rustic wool. The sweater it was in originally was like probably a 70s, 80s sweater, and it had the tightest cuffs and neck, and I can't imagine it was comfortable, but this as like an outerwear piece makes so much more sense for it, and I adore this. This is like the most amazing sweater ever. I mean, the colors are so beautiful. It looks like a Noro, like it looks like, what is it, Noro Madara that has a similar rainbow tweedy look, but it's like marled plus tweed. I don't know, 100% wool and gorgeous. Now we're getting out of my end of the winter knits from last year and getting into the beginning of my spring knits. I'm gonna throw this on over my shirt, but I'll add a photo of it not over a shirt. This is, as my hair slowly falls apart in this video, this is the Colette tee by Sari Nordland. I knit this in Paintbox Cotton DK in the color Slate Green. And as you can see, mine is a little tighter than her sample. I don't know exactly why that is. I think my gauge was fine. It just, I don't know. For some reason, it ended up tighter. But I still like it. I still think it's really pretty. I don't have an issue with that. You'll kind of see a theme in my knits is sometimes I finish them and I'm not happy with them. But then after like a month, I'm like, what am I talking about? This is great. This works perfectly. Some of these knits, I feel like I didn't have a ton of time to wear last year. I don't know, the summer was kind of weird. Like I was finishing everything as the season that I could wear them in ended, because I hadn't really knit a lot of summer yarns or summer knits in the past. So I was kind of playing catch up. So hopefully this coming year, I'll get to wear these more, because when it's a little cooler out in the springtime, this will already be done and ready to be worn. I love the cables in this piece. I love the little eyelets. This is so fun. I'd love to knit the sweater version that she has. I think maybe my sleeves were a little longer than hers. No, I think they're the same. But I like it. It's cute. It's tighter than hers, but I still think it looks good. Yeah, this is a really fun green. I originally intended to do something different with it, but I'm happy with this. It's a good bright spring color too. Ooh. So next we have the Shell Tee by Wool and Beyond. This one is knit in Drops Paris, which is another 100% cotton yarn, in Cornflower Blue, I think. This is a cool pattern. I really like the piece that it came out with. I wasn't sure about it at the beginning because I felt like the edges ballooned more than I expected. You see it has like the little ruffle in the back too. I would knit this again. I think it's really easy to wear because it sticks out at the bottom. I don't get super hot wearing it because it's not close to the skin. Like it's billowy, which something that's this thick, that's like an Aran worsted weight in the summertime needs that because you're just not going to wear it otherwise. The sleeves are cute little cap sleeves. I don't know, this was a fun knit. It was like kind of confusing in parts. It's definitely not like a super beginner pattern. Early in my knitting, I would not have known how to do this. I probably next time would sew down my folded edge instead of knitting it down for a little less density here, but I think it still looks good. I like it. And I like the Drops Paris too. I don't know what else I'd use it for because as 100% cotton and a heavier weight, it's kind of hard to pick like knits, like I said, that won't still overheat you. Because in summertime with humidity, it's just something like this is too dense. But yeah, this is cute. Next we have one of like my top summer pieces, I'd say. This is so versatile, and I totally knit another one. And that's Cami number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this in Drop Saffron, their fingering weight cotton yarn. I really like this. It was in the cobalt blue. I placed like a drops order early in the summertime season, and I love how it turned out. As you can see, I do have it. It was from 2 different dye lots, which is not on purpose. I totally didn't realize because they all came in one order, and there is a stripe. But I'm hoping that if I wash it over time, it'll get washed out and it'll be even and fine and whatever. But it's still really comfy, and I'd knit this again. It wasn't as hard to knit as I thought. I think with fingering and light fingering weight pieces, sometimes you get really like, oh my gosh, it's gonna take forever. But there's no sleeves, and like the body is narrow, so it doesn't actually take that long, and it's stockinette, so I could just go for it, no worries, super quick. I wore this probably the most of anything this summer, and I could easily throw it in the washer, usually just in like a garment bag, and wash it with everything else, no issues. I think winter pieces, like I like to knit for function, I guess. Winter pieces, the function is just be warm. So that function can be met, that need can be met in pretty much any type of sweater. But with summer pieces, for me, it's like not being too hot and also ease of wear, because I just don't like to think in the summertime. I just like to throw something on, and if I have to think too hard, I'm not wearing it. So if I have to like wash this in a special way or wash it, it's just not gonna happen. So love this one. Next, I have a piece that I didn't wear a ton, probably for similar reasons that I said earlier. Like I finished it a little too late in the season. That's the Alice top by Petite Knit. This is knit in a couple of different thrifted yarns. As you can see, I ran out of the white and started in a gray here. It's knit in the brown sheep cotton top, which is half wool, half cotton. Shibui Reed, which is a linen yarn, and then Kinsenko Sparrow, also a linen yarn. And as you can see, the back is a little bit of that gray too. I think this looks okay. I kind of was figuring out this year what kind of yarns I could wear in the summer, because I haven't really done summer knits before. I think it's hard when so many knitters are Scandinavian. Like, I don't know what their summers are like. I live in New England, like near Boston, and I grew up in Maine, so I'm used to really cold weather, but we still get really hot, humid summers. So I don't know what their summers are like, but they seem to all wear a lot of like merino and that kind of thing still. And so I kind of gave it a shot, but I found it did not super work for me. I know wool is temperature regulating, but I just can't. Like, I would just rather sweat into cotton and be happy than be like itchy or a little too warm in a piece. Because the problem is, as soon as you have like a bag over some kind of wool, I found, where that other item covers, it insulates and it gets super hot. So like if I had a crossbody bag on over a merino t-shirt, I'm gonna be sweating underneath that. It's just too hot. So they're kind of like early or late season pieces. I can't wear them in peak summer, but I've learned that. We've figured it out. It's all okay. So this was a bulky weight pattern, super simple, bottom up. Yeah, hopefully I wear it more this year. If not, oh well. Let's take a little break and go over a couple of the pieces that I don't have with me before we continue on that I haven't mentioned, but will include pictures or videos of. The first one is I knit a Moby sweater for my husband. I knit myself one in 2023. I knit him a matching one. Both of them were in Drops Alaska. That's a Petite Knit pattern. He loves it. He wears it all the time. I don't have it with me because he's currently wearing it today. I knit it in an olive green. It's a beautiful, dense sweater. I love Drops Alaska. I think it's a fantastic yarn. It's a little rustic, but it doesn't bother me too much. I pretty much always wear a shirt under my knits anyways, at least in the wintertime, so doesn't bother me at all. And on a really cold day, it's the perfect sweater. I do need to shorten the cuffs on his a little bit because they are slightly too long for him. And I knit the women's one for him as well because the men's one is a DK weight. Why am I gonna knit a bigger sweater in a smaller weight yarn? Not gonna happen. So his is in the worsted weight, and like he was within the range of women's sizes because there isn't a huge difference. They're not like super fit. That sweater's not super fitted or anything, so it didn't really matter. And it fits him well, and he loves it. Another one is I knit an Eva cardigan, also by Petite Knit, in Drops Lima in like a taupey color for my mom. Don't know how much she's worn it because she's kind of a hater. Not a knitting hater. She just, I'll knit her something that I think she'll like, and then she doesn't like it because she's picky like me. So it's fine. I get it. But I think like her generation, she's not super into the like super baggy loose sleeves thing. So I don't know if it's totally her thing. Maybe I'll take it back. We'll see. But I'll get her to send me a picture so I can add it in here because it did turn out really nice. Drops Lima, I think I said, which is like a wool and alpaca. What else? I think that's what I've got for that so far. We'll do another one of these at the end. Next, I have my like one home project. And that is something I'm sure you've seen from many other people, and that's the Stella Quilt Cushion by Laura Penrose. I knit this in all like random scrap unlabeled wools that I thrifted, and she's super cute. I got a pillow insert, like two feather pillow inserts from IKEA, and I've only used one of them so far. I did the motif number 2, and this is like the Aran worsted weight version, not the DK one, and it was super fun. The back, I just knit a panel with my leftover colored yarns and then just 2 white yarns so it matched the front, but I was just using stuff up the way that I could. I joined it as I went like you do for some of the squares here, and I kind of regret it because as you can see, like this corner is a little weird. Like I had to decrease really fast at the end because I still had way too many stitches. I should have just knit a panel and sewed it on, but I was feeling lazy, so I didn't. But this just lives on my little chair that I'm actually throwing my knits on, that all the pillows that I've made live on because we don't really use them. But it's beautiful and I love it. And I would make another one. I probably will at some point. I just don't really know what I want to use for it. And my pillow chair is full of pillows, so kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I have the pillow insert, so it'll happen at some point, just not right now. But highly recommend the IKEA pillow inserts, the feather ones, because they're like $9. They're super cheap. And they're, I mean, just like any feather pillow, like they're maybe not super dense, but they're nice and fluffy, I think. So such a fun pattern. So cute. I'd love to knit the other motif. I'd love to do a blanket. I'm working on a baby blanket that's gonna have one of these and then like 3 other plain ones. So watch my podcast if you want to see about that. Next we have back into the summer type knits. This is the Plain Yoke T20 by Lay Knit. Forgot I had to put it on for a second there. This was me trying to use up this dark pink yarn. I bought this last year with a plan to design something, and it just didn't happen, so I wanted to use it and get it out of the way. This is the Universal Yarns Clean Cotton, which is cotton with some polyester, which I don't love. I think it makes it a little warm. I actually really don't like this yarn because it really like loses a lot of fiber, fuzziness everywhere. Like my whole corner that I knit in was, because our couch is kind of velvety, was just covered in this pink stuff. It was like on everything. I had to do the little thing where you like wipe it with your fingers to get it to come up in little like piles to get it off, but it just like covered everything. I do like the piece though. It has rolled hems all over. I used my leftover brown sheep cotton top, which is like half wool, half cotton at the bottom, which worked out because it doesn't like touch my skin a lot, so it's not itchy. This is pretty like boxy. So once again, even though it's like an Aran worsted weight, it's not too hot because it sticks out a little bit. Yeah, the rolled hems on the sleeves are kind of cool too. I did it with short row shaping, so it does fit pretty well. I don't know. Once again, this was like towards the end of my spring knitting. So it was like a little too late to wear it very often. I wore it like once or twice. So let's see for this year, but this bright pink is so fun. I look really good in this bright pink. It's not necessarily something I gravitate to knit with, but every time I wear a pink this color, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's totally your color. It looks so good. So there's that. And that was by We Knit, I think I said. Next, I'm gonna skip the one I have next. We're gonna go to my Cumulus O-Neck by Petite Knit. I knit this in an unraveled sweater yarn that was 100% merino in this like robin's egg blue. The bottom is just cast off because I couldn't find my last skein of unraveled yarn, which I actually did find. So at some point I'll do the I-cord edge on the bottom. I just haven't cared to. Probably next year. Next season when I can wear this again. This was a fun little experiment. Like I said, I was sort of figuring out like if I could wear wool and merino in the summertime and how that would affect me. And this was sort of the thought, because this is a light fingering weight pattern. So I was like, if anything's gonna be fine, it's gonna be this. And it's okay. Like I said, I do get kind of sweaty if I wear anything over it. It's not great for like long walks in the heat. If I'm just like walking around or I'm going between buildings, probably fine. But for me, I walk a lot in the city and it hasn't worked out super duper well so far. But maybe next year, we'll see. I still wear these things and I'll still keep them. They're just maybe not constant wears. I will probably throw on a regular cotton t-shirt before I throw this on, but it's a special occasion thing. But I'm sort of learning for summer what's worthwhile for me to knit. I think I'm learning things more like Cami number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear make more sense for me and my wardrobe as far as knits. And I should invest my time into those. So it's a learning curve for everything. But this knit up pretty quickly because it was the O-neck, so most of it was in the round. I'll show you later. I did knit a V-neck. It's a little bit different. So this one was faster, and that's why I did that. So next we have a piece that I really like. I say this about a lot of things, but I do really like it. And this is Candy number 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is knit in another unraveled sweater yarn that I think I held double, and it's 100% linen. So this has a fantastic drape, which I think works really well for this stitch. The sleeves, not the sleeves, the straps are maybe a little long because this is knit top down. So it's kind of hard to tell with sleeves how long works, because sleeve length, like this length, matters a lot more in a tank top than it does in a sweater. I feel like it doesn't matter too much. Like a sweater's gonna have that neckline, so like it gets all brought together anyways, but with these, it definitely drapes. So I may have to like shorten this a little bit this year. Right now with a long sleeve on under it, it fits well because it's not moving, because it's like held here by the cotton of my shirt. But when it's just on my skin, it does move around a little bit. I may be a little pale for this color, but I had the sweater that this was in my wardrobe that I thrifted for like a year before this, and I never wore it. And I have worn this multiple times since knitting it. So I think this was a good choice. Big fan of this pattern. I knit a lot of broken rib this season overall, it feels like, and it was kind of killing me, but worth it. I like broken rib. I think broken rib is a fantastic summertime fabric. Something about it, the drape is really good. It feels good on the skin. Like it doesn't feel like it's just sitting against you and insulating. But yeah, this shaping on this pattern is so cool. I think it looks so good. And it's got that like V-neck in the back as well. Highly recommend. Totally knit this pattern if you're up for it. And it's like another light fingering weight pattern. Next, we have the thing that's probably gonna look the silliest over my long sleeve, and that is the twist loop top by Other Loops. This is, it's hard to get on my neck. This is knit in the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, because I placed a Knitting for Olive order special for myself at like close to the end of the season last year, because I just wanted to try some of their summer yarns. And it's kind of an easier way to try things because you only need like 3 balls for a tank top like this, so cost, the like entry cost is a lot lower than a whole sweater. So this is the Japanese Anemone color which they came out with, which I love. It's like a beautiful cool toned pink. I think I look better in cool tone pinks usually than warmer toned pinks, depending on how bright or dark how bright or light they are, because otherwise it can like meld into my skin tone. Like obviously I should not be wearing peachy colors. It doesn't usually look good on me, but I like this. This yarn was really nice to work with. The piece I did enjoy working up for the most part. It kind of killed my hands a little bit. This is light fingering. I feel like maybe this yarn wasn't super dense enough for this piece. The cables still look pretty good, but I had to like block out this top part really aggressively because otherwise it comes in really, really far and there's like no way you can wear a normal bra with it at all. So yeah, I had to block it super wide and like you might need to pull it a little bit. But this is one that's like pretty good to wear in the summertime because this is 70% cotton, I think, and 30% merino, so it's not too crazy. Like you don't feel like you're dying of heat stroke or anything. And I could sweat in this and not feel like I'm getting icky. Like I feel like in wool, if you sweat in wool, it feels ickier than if you sweat in cotton. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just totally insane. I know I'm totally insane, so like whatever. But yeah, I love this color. I'm super obsessed with it. I would totally knit something else in this color. I'd knit a Cumulus tee in this color. I think it would be awesome. I also wanted to try I think it's the blueberry ice cream color, but they were out of it when I was ordering yarn. So this is what we've got. Sorry for the really loud scooter that just drove by. I can't use my mic doing this because I have to put the shirt on and off. And if I put the shirt on and off, that you obviously can't really do a lapel mic with that. So I'm sorry if there's background noise halfway into this video for the edition. Oh my gosh, I caught my earring. I almost ripped out my ear. It's fine. So next we have, actually I'll mention, I knit a cami number 4 that was also a gift knit for a friend. I knit it in dropped saffron and red clay. I'll add a photo. That was like, I was so tired of broken rib by the end of that because it's double broken rib because I have one more broken rib piece. It took me a while, but I really like it. It turned out really well for her. She lives in LA. I lived in LA for a little while. We're good friends. And I knew that that would be a good piece for her, like a skinny strap tank top, because she loves that kind of thing. And it's hot way more often, so it makes a lot more sense. So that was that. Very simple piece, but super easy to knit. Next, I have what I would call an odd sweater that I started much earlier in the year, but didn't finish till later because I ran out of yarn. That is the Elizabeth blouse by Petite Knit. I don't know if I mentioned that the twist loop top. The twist loop top is by Other Loops, and the cami number 4 is by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'll put this all on the screen so it won't matter, but I just want to make sure I say it out loud. But this is the Elizabeth blouse by Petite Knit, and I would like to knit another one of these because I kind of knit it in a weird way. I used Paintbox Cotton DK. This is a sport weight pattern, and I used a DK, so it was a little bit bigger. I think my gauge is kind of loose because it is a cotton yarn. I thrifted this yarn, and I thought I had enough, but I did not. So then I got to the end, and I had to buy more, and it did not come in the same color. I don't know if it was just a dye lot thing, because I feel like the tone of the color is also very different. It's not just like a light dark thing. I feel like it's just a totally different color. So I don't know if I ordered the wrong one and it's just a different dark blue, but I alternated skeins, which doesn't look good. I would say like it doesn't perfect it, but it looks a little more intentional than just like knitting with this color and then totally going into the other color, because that's what I tried at first, because I just knit originally as far as I could go with this original yarn, and then I bought the new skeins. I was like, this is totally different, and then I frogged up to here, or up to here, and alternated through the rest of the yarn. This is weird, I think, because it's cotton and the sample is not cotton, and I think that's what it's intended for. This is definitely looser than the sample, but for me, this is a really good summertime sweater. Like in the morning, in the evening, when it's a little bit chilly, but maybe still humid so you could get hot. Because it's cotton, you don't get too hot. I love a good summertime cotton sweater. I have this one cotton cardigan that I wear all summer long. So this is kind of an addition to that. But I think also when I'm in the context of wearing that kind of thing, this kind of thing, it's on vacation. Like I'm not trying to look perfect. I'm just like hanging out in the house. So it doesn't need to look perfect and polished to go out and about. Like this is just, summer is much more relaxed for me with outfits. Not in like a, like relaxed or not relaxed, either one is better. Just that's how I am. I just can't be bothered when it's hot out. I don't want to put together a crazy outfit most of the time. So for this, I'm just chilling. Like, I'm not trying to be anything crazy, and this is comfy and easy to throw on. Like I said, definitely more oversized than her version, and I love a good collar. I'm a big collar person, so I definitely knit another one of these in a wool. It'd be great for work, I think. But yeah, big fan. Next, because I finished that sometime in the summer. Next, we're back to kind of summer yarns and summer pieces for a little bit. Then we're done. Let's see if I can find the right front and back for this. This is the Barbro top by Knitting for Olive, or Pernille Larsen designs their patterns. It's in the pure silk in the color Ballerina, and I hate this. I was trying to justify it like when I finished it, but now I'm totally gonna frog this next season. I don't like it at all. I kind of told myself at the beginning, like when I make plans, I try to talk about like what type of things I want to knit and what type of things I want to avoid, because plans don't always go exactly how you expect. But if I can kind of set general goals for myself and stay within that, because when I'm thinking sanely at the beginning of the season before all the new patterns have come out, I'm like, I know I won't wear a lacy top because I have to wear something under it, and I don't want to wear anything under it. But I saw this and it was so pretty, and I bought this pure silk in my Knitting for Olive order. I bought like 3 pieces worth. I've only knit 2 of them, and I was like, oh, this will be so nice. But it's 1, too small. 2, I didn't knit it long enough. I want it to be cropped, but it's too cropped. And 3, I hate the sleeves or the straps. I knit them way longer than they were supposed to be, and they're still too short. I want it to be like really scoop necky. I think I look good in a nice scoop neck. I wear V-necks, but I think a scoop neck looks nice on me, so that was the goal, and it's not as scoopy as I want it to be. Like, it feels frumpy because it's so high on me for some reason. I don't know. All of these, I was reading all about the Knitting for Olive pure silk, and everyone's like, it grows so much, it gets so long, blah, 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 blah. And the last thing I wanted was like a way too long tank top that looked like it was from 2003. So that's why I knit it shorter, I'm remembering now. I didn't want it to be super duper long, so I was like, I'll knit it a little bit shorter, and then it'll grow, and then it'll be the right length. But it did not grow as much as I thought. And the same for the straps. I knit them longer than even the longest option, and it still didn't grow the way I wanted to. Plus, the way that they did the I-cord on this neck made no coherent sense. It was totally illogical. It should have been applied all at the end, but it was not. You did it in like parts with like provisional cast-ons, and there's no I-cord on the armholes. So when I'm wearing this without a shirt on it, this part on the outside around the armholes is way looser than on the neck, because this has I-cord and this doesn't. This is just a raw edge. So it's a little nonsensical. This is going to be a nightmare to unravel because of all the craziness of this I-cord. I may just snip the I-cord and pull it apart instead of trying to unravel it nicely. But if I have enough yarn, because I have basically like a whole third ball that's essentially untouched, I may knit another cami number 9 in this. I think that would look good. I think it would make more sense for me. I don't like how this turned out. It's a light fingering weight pattern. I love the motif. I love this. I'd maybe knit the Barbro blouse in a wool, but I just don't like this guy, which is really sad because I was really excited about it. On to my last summer knit. And this one was a slog, but it was really successful for me. And this is the Friday Tee by Petite Knit. I used an unraveled sweater yarn, which is the peachy yarn of cotton, with my leftover drop saffron in cobalt from my cami number 9. This is an all broken rib pattern. The reason this was a slog was because the peach yarn was actually a nightmare to work with. So it just wasn't, it was hurting my hands. It was way too frictiony. I don't know, had too much friction when I was knitting it, so it didn't glide very well, and it was just a pain in the butt. I'd knit this again in all drop saffron. I think that would be awesome. I used this blue because I thought it was a really good color combo, and also to like cool down the peach so it looks better on me. I don't usually do unraveled sweater yarns for cotton pieces because cotton is cheap enough that like there's no point, and a lot of times sweaters at the thrift store that are cotton are more worn out. They're more washed out, they're more worn, they're maybe smellier. Like, it's just different than wool. It doesn't last in the same way, so it doesn't always make sense. But I just gave it a shot with this one. But I like how it turned out. This is actually a really great office piece for me. Like, this looks really nice and professional with a pair of slacks, which is one of the reasons that I really like it. Last year I knit the Anchor shirt by Petite Knit in a like half merino, half bamboo. I actually really like that combo, and that's worked really well for me. I think because the merino is so bouncy, that's another great office piece. I consider it to be similar to this. But yeah, I really love this guy. I think the wide raglan bands look really nice too. But yeah, I like this color combo. Once I looked at them together, I was like, oh, that's good. That's a good combo. It's non-traditional, and it's just a good one. So that's our last warm weather piece, guys. I was like almost a little worried that this video wouldn't take very long, but that was like, made no sense. I've got like 35 things to show you, so whatever. Next I have a piece that I don't think I've tried on in this stage yet. And it's finished, but it's also a little not finished. This isn't super great over this shirt. This is the Maria by Claudia Quintanilla in the Memory Lane book. It's not totally finished because I've only done the beading on the sleeves. It's really tight over this shirt. It's not really, because it's a fitted piece for the most part, I don't think it's really great over the shirt. Especially because I can't adjust it very well. This is all unraveled sweater wool, shockingly from 2 Old Navy sweaters, which I think is so funny because 1, you could never get 100% wool Old Navy sweater these days, and 2, because it blocked out so nicely. I was gifted the Memory Lane book by Claudia Quintanilla, and I was sent a pattern of my choosing early, and I picked this one to knit up, and I really like how it turned out. It's very cute. I love this motif at the bottom. It's a fingering weight pattern, I think. The sample is knit in mohair. I didn't knit it in mohair because I'm not gonna wear an all mohair piece, honestly. I think the sleeves are super cute. I plan to add beads here. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Like, I have to be in the right mindset to want to do that because it's small and fiddly and you don't want to lose beads. But yeah, I think this maroon yarn is really nice with the brown. It's very classy, very pretty. It's got these nice set-in sleeves, all folded edges, no rib. Ugh, I love this with the beads. It's so fun. Oh, so cute. But yeah, oh, and this nice little picot edge on the neckline is so pretty. I've never actually done a picot edge. This is like my first picot edge that I've done. It was super easy. But yeah, love this piece. What else? Do I have anything else to say about it? I don't think so. Every single one of these is gonna be inside out when I have to put them away. Ah! So next I have a sweater that I'm probably gonna frog soon. I knit this early on in the cold weather season, and it might actually fit me okay over this shirt. Maybe I don't hate it as much as I thought I did. This is the April cardigan by Petite Knit. I have knit another April cardigan. I love that one. It's in a cashmere that was unraveled from another sweater, and I like that one better because it's much more drapey and it makes a lot more sense for me in this piece. I don't think this yarn makes sense for me in this piece because this is 100% wool. It came from a cone that I thrifted. It's the mainline wool. I'm not really a yellow person, honestly. I thrifted this for like $5. It was a great opportunity. I didn't know how much was on it, so I knew I had enough for a sweater, but I didn't want to go crazy and pick a big sweater that was going to use way too much yarn. So I went for this guy because I know that I like this pattern, but I think I knit it too tight on the top because I had it on too small of a cable. I think a medium would have made sense, more sense for me in this pattern in 100% wool because it just doesn't have as much stretch or give. I don't like this yellow on me. Yeah, this is a DK weight pattern also. And I didn't know how much it was gonna bloom. I don't know, it looks okay. It's not my fave. It's got these really nice set-in sleeves. Like, I love the pattern. I just don't think this color, this yarn works for me. Thinking about frogging it and knitting the Champagne pullover by Sari Nordland, because I could also dye that at the end if I don't like it. Or maybe something else. Maybe this in a stripy piece with a different color. But I don't really want to figure that out. So possibly the Champagne pullover, because that's pretty lacy. So I think I could do it. And I think it would make more sense. And I could dye it into like a totally different color and it would be fine. But yeah, that's this. Not very exciting. It's the color Daffodil. Very bright. That was me realizing that I actually don't like the color yellow. So this season of like fall winter has been weird for knitting for me. I feel like I keep knitting things because I'm trying to do like projects that take more work, that are more interesting and not just simple, and that I haven't liked them. So this is one example of that. This is the Beatrix cardigan by Gregoria Fibers. I think it's a really pretty pattern. Objectively, I don't like how it fits me. The sleeves feel too small. Don't like how the decreases are worked on them. I don't like this front button thing. I don't like this stitch as like a body stitch. I think it looks good in the right type of yarn maybe, but it's a lot airier and breezier than I expected it to be. This is like a worsted weight yarn, and I think I thought that it would bloom a little bit more. This is an unraveled sweater yarn that was predominantly wool and some acrylic. It's like this nice pearl gray that I like. And just regular buttons. I didn't do like shank buttons because I couldn't find any that I liked that would look good. I don't know. Just not a fan. I might give this away to a friend of mine who's a little bit smaller than I am. So I think it might fit her better. I don't know. Like it's just not, the arms aren't long enough. I don't like the arms. I feel like the cable makes it really tight on my arms and I don't like it. But it's his saddle shoulder. The neck is kind of, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I wish I was a fan. This took me, actually didn't take that long. Sorry about the barky dog. I don't know. I posted a podcast where I talked about this, about me being kind of a hater. And I know some people have knit this and they really, really liked it. I just don't like mine. And that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. Because, gotta be honest, guys. I'm not here to just tell you what you want to hear. Because I don't want to be told what I want to hear. I want to be told the truth so that when I go to knit something and someone's told me that like there are XYZ problems, that I know I either shouldn't knit that or I know what I'm getting into. Because you don't always know what you're getting into with these things. So this was a serious labor of love, this project. This took me, I started this in the spring and I finished this like a couple months ago. Not a couple months ago, like semi-recently, I'd say. This is the Cumulus V-neck, and by Petite Knit, I added the length in the sleeves. This is two different unraveled sweater yarns that are both cashmere, one white, one pink. This took me ages, and it's because it's a light fingering weight piece, but this is the kind of thing that I should be knitting. It's super wearable. It's like super fine and beautiful and in a really nice fiber, and it took a really long time, but that's because it's awesome. Like because it was totally worth the time. I really want to knit a Cumulus V-neck tee. I have actually pure silk from Knitting for Olive for it specifically. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I was also kind of working on this, and I really need another set of 3mm needles because I only have one set of 3mm tips. So I was kind of sharing a lot of my whips with one set of needles last year, which wasn't really working. So that's part of why I didn't cast it on. But next year's the year that I'm going to knit a pure silk one because everyone loves theirs. And I think that's totally the kind of piece that would be functional for me. But yeah, I love this. I just figured out the length of the sleeves myself. I did some more decreases so that it would still be narrow. This is great to wear. It's not too see-through. I maybe wear a little tank top underneath it, but it looks really good. It's really nice. Like I'd knit something like this again, like in this format with longer sleeves. It's just so basic and so perfect and beautiful. And I love it so, so much. I even have a little bit of leftover yarn. Maybe I'll knit a hat or something, like a fancy cashmere hat. Now we're getting into what I feel like is more recent knits. In this first one, because I admitted to myself this year that I do like vests. I used to think vests were stupid and they served no purpose. But I think that's mostly because I'd see people wearing puffer vests and that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like too much going on, you're gonna get really hot underneath it, and then my arms get cold. So why do I want my body to be warm and my arms cold? But this is the Maggie vest by Petite Knit. I really liked the simplicity of this. It's a DK weight pattern. I knit it in Jody Long Chow, which is a superwash yarn in a navy. I love this. It's great with a black turtleneck. That's how I usually wear it, and like some dark pants. I think it looks really nice. I've worn this to the office a bunch of times. It's a great layering piece, like it's starting to get cold time. If I'm gonna wear a jacket and I need a little bit more warmth, this is a great piece to wear under my jacket just to get my core a little bit warmer. I think lighter vests are what work for me, but I also found last year I knit the vest number 2 spring edition by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I actually found myself wearing it around the house a lot because when it was a little bit chilly, but still like warm enough that I didn't want a full sweater, the vest was great over a long sleeve to just add that extra bit of warmth when I'm just hanging out around the house. So like I'm not gonna go out usually outside in the cold weather wearing just a vest with my long sleeve, but it's great for when I'm gonna be indoors. So I really like this guy. Very simple, very cute. I keep it buttoned up all the way all the time. So it's basically like a wintertime tank top, but I'm a big fan. I'd totally knit one of these again. I'd maybe even knit the Maggie t-shirt thing she has. I'd maybe knit that with longer sleeves or figure out how to add sleeves to this pattern. I don't know. I like it. I prefer cardigans that button all the way up to the top. I don't like the v-neck ones as much. Those serve a purpose, but I prefer this, I've found. So that's what I'm trying to learn from my knits what I should be knitting so that I can, do better in the future. We gotta finish this. Well, we still got light. I've been talking for a while. Next one. This one was so much fun to knit. I love this so much. This is the Eurus Slipover by Aegyo Knits. This is the only Aegyo Knits pattern I've ever knit, and it's knit in Noro Hanui. I don't really know how to say it, but it's this like 1-ply 100% wool yarn in this like natural brown color, and I love this. Are my buttons buttoned? This is it. This was really fun. It's knit like horizontally, not vertically, I guess you would say. I wear this also to the office quite a bit, usually with like this shirt, honestly, because I can just wear a regular shirt underneath it. This yarn isn't too itchy or anything. It's like a little bit rustic, but it's really quite nice. I love this pattern. It's a little bit longer in the back. I just popped open this button. I just have these little toggle buttons that I thrifted on the side. I like this split thing. I knit the Lulu Slipover last year, but I don't really like the yarn I knit it with, and I didn't really knit the panels long enough. So I'd like to do that one again, kind of inspired by this, and make it a little bit longer in a different yarn. Oh my gosh, I put this on backwards. Oh my gosh. That's why it was feeling weird. That makes sense. I'm so sorry. Let's start this all over. Let's pretend that didn't even happen. Okay. I was pulling it from the back and I was like, why isn't it getting longer in the back? Because it's longer in the back. This makes more sense. Yeah, so it's a little shorter in the front, and in the back it has short rows to make it a little bit longer. I think it looks really nice. I love this guy. Once again, like the Maggie vest, great to throw on in the office, a little bit of extra warmth. And the turtleneck, it's like you're wearing a scarf or something. Not that I'm really a scarfy person, but yeah, I love this. I think the texture looks amazing. I'd consider knitting the sweater version, but I think the sleeves are too big for me on the sweater version. I don't really like super wide sleeves. They're just not practical for me. But yeah, love this guy. Highly recommend. It's definitely an intermediate pattern. It's not easy. It was difficult at times. I think the instructions are surprisingly good. You could totally get stuck if you misunderstand something, and like figuring out how to get everything, like, because you're knitting this way and you have to like, you're joined for this like shoulder, and then you separate for the front and the back, and you have to make sure the right length to get over here. Like, it is complicated, but I had a really fun time, and it was surprisingly fast for me, because also most of the cables, because this is a relatively rustic yarn, I was able to knit them without a cable needle because they stuck together really well, so I didn't have to like do all this honeycomb with a cable needle. So I like it, big fan. I wouldn't probably knit another one because I don't really need two, but I'd highly recommend this to like anyone else. I love this guy. Next, we're gonna do my last sweater and my most recent finished object, and that is the Brady Loop sweater by Other Loops. I knit this also in Jody Long Chow in the color Pale, a DK weight pattern. I really came down to the wire with the amount of yarn that I had for this. Like this was a barely. So this is like a saddle shoulder pattern. It's got that nice cable in the back of the neck. It's this very wide, like 8x2 rib, cables down the sleeve. It's kind of an interesting construction because it is like a saddle shoulder raglan, but you don't increase it all in the body, so it's still kind of a drop shoulder. I feel like that gives it a slightly odd fit, especially with like a yarn that's really bouncy and not as drapey like this one. I'm okay with it. I still like it. My intention was for this to kind of be like a crew neck sweatshirt, and that's definitely what it is. My knitting friends said it looks really good, so I'm sticking with that, and I think I'll wear it. I think it's cute. It's a good pink for me because it's a really cool toned pink, not like a warm toned pink. I did mod the sleeves some. There's a lot more decreases than in the original one, and it's much at a faster rate, so it's not as big because I don't really, like I said, do big sleeves. It's too much. And I made the ribbing a little bit shorter too because the decreased part of the sleeve took me longer, which was at first an accident, and then I replicated it on the other side after I decided I liked it better, which was actually a good thing because I used less yarn in the sleeves, and I had, when I finished this, when I did Italian bind off, I had like this much yarn left. So I was lucky, really, at the end of the day. But I guess I'll keep this on to finish talking about the last couple of things. This first thing I'm going to show you, but it's like technically needs buttons on it. So I will, when I edit this, add a photo of me wearing it with the buttons. That's the November neck by Petite Knit. I knit this in Noro Ito in the color 1, but if you look up on Ravelry, it's not the color 1 that they have, and I can't actually figure out which one it is. So it's this really pretty like yellow, pink, and green that I love. It's brioche. It's a worsted weight pattern. I've never knit brioche before. This was my first brioche pattern. It was a good introduction, and I also really wanted a cowl. And I only had one skein of this, and I had exactly enough yarn, once again, like this much yarn left. And I'm a big fan with how this turned out. I think it's so beautiful. I thought I was gonna run out at the end and have to use a different color, but I had exactly enough, which was really what I was hoping for because this is such a pretty color scheme, and I'm really excited to get to wear it. Yay! Let me see, I have two hats. This one I actually knit way earlier in the year, and I want to frog it and redo it because I didn't make it long enough. This is kind of self-drafted. It's in the Malabrigo Rios in the color Rose. I want the brim to be longer. It's not really long enough, but the color is pretty. I knit my husband last year a Malabrigo Rios in the color Lettuce, which is like a bright green. I like a 1x1 rib hat, so that's what this is. But this pattern was like self-drafted. I just need to do a better job. And this is super fuzzy. I just finished this. This was my leftover Jodi Long Chow from my Maggie vest, which is also the navy. And I knit the weekend hat by Petite Knit. I don't think it's quite right because I think I was supposed to do a little bit more for the brim and fold it 3 times. But I was kind of confused by the instructions, and it's just gonna stay like this because I don't have any more yarn. This was the last of this yarn, and I think it looks fine. And it's a hat, and it's cute. So I'm interrupting myself really quick because at the end of standing up for an hour and talking about knits, I forgot the last couple things that I didn't have with me. So I'll go over those really quickly just to get them out of the way, and then we can be done. The first was the Anais Tee by Gregoria Fibers. I test knit this. I did this in Rosa Pomar Mungo, which is half cotton, half wool, in like a very bright blue. I don't know exactly what the color is, but I'll put it on screen. I knit it in like a worsted weight, though I think it was intended to be something different. I got gauge, and basically I just knit too small of size. I just picked the wrong size, so it was too small for me. And at the end of the day, I decided to frog it because it just wasn't going to get worn because it was a little too tight on me. But I like the pattern; it's still beautiful. Just didn't knit it in the right size. That's on me. The next thing was the Snotty sweaters by Johanna Yolisto. And these are little mini sweaters. They're knit in a fingering weight yarn on like a size US 1 needle. They're very small. And I knit 2 for a friend as a wedding gift for a Christmas ornament. And then I duplicate stitched their first initials on it, kind of in the style of a Harry Potter sweater from the movies, which I thought would be cute. And she loved them. I knit those in Jamieson's of Shetland Spindrift, and in I believe the color Madder. They turned out super cute. I super recommend, especially if you have like teeny tiny fingering weight scraps. It doesn't take very much. So those were cute. Then there was the zipper sweater that I knit for my dad. I knit it in Drops Nepal in the navy color. Drops and Paul is like an Aran weight yarn, and I believe this was a bulky weight pattern, but I got gauge with mine, and that was fine. This is the second zipper sweater that I've knit. It's a petite knit pattern, and it's a good pattern. I just hate sewing in the zipper, so I probably won't do it again, just because it's a pain. And it's kind of hard to find nice looking zippers and not buy a pack of like 20 of them, which is a little inconvenient. So that's that. And the last thing was I knit Augustine's number 5, which is a circular lacy blanket for another friend for another wedding gift. And that is by Augustine's. I knit it in a polyester, like sagey green yarn. And it's not super big. It's a worsted weight yarn. But it was pretty, and I thought it would be something she could use in a couple different ways, and it would be fun to have around the house. And she likes it, and that's a pretty good pattern. I had a couple issues with it. I talked about it in the podcast, not like how it was knit. It wasn't like I had a hard time. It was just a few like details that I wasn't a huge fan of. But I'd definitely try one of her other patterns. And knowing what I know, I think it would be a little bit. I'd be able to make it look better at the end, resolve some of my problems. So that is every single thing that I knit, I think, all 35 items. So let's pause really quick after thank you for staying this long with me, and guess how many yards of yarn that I knit in 2024. All of those things, think about it for a second. How many yards could it possibly be? Or take a guess in miles. I'll give you both. It's a lot of miles too. Now, hold on to that in your mind, write it down, whatever, and I will give you the answer. I knit in 2024 32,760 yards of yarn. I know, that's insane. And that comes out to 18.6 miles. That's crazy. I definitely knit, maybe I expected it to be that much. I knew I knit a lot of things, but it's still a lot. I'm not going to say that I'll knit less next year or even more. It'll probably be about the same because I feel like I knit, I don't know, I guess I knit all the time, but I don't even really take it with me anywhere like a lot of people do. Maybe some places. I don't know. Let me know how many things you knit this year. It's okay if it's just one because we all have different amounts of time and different things we want to knit. And some of us have too many hobbies. Some of us focus too much on just one. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you enjoyed hanging out with me, I put out a podcast or a video usually every week talking about what I'm working on, the huge. Sometimes I think of a fun and funky idea and I'll do something silly and put it out there, or do a planning video or whatnot, the usual. I really enjoy making these videos. I have a lot of fun. If you enjoyed watching this, I'd really appreciate a like. If you want to join me for future videos, a subscribe would be really appreciated. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and so happy 2024 and happy knitting as well.